Roman arrived at the farmhouse a little later than expected, the rain and snow making it quite the journey. From a distance, he spotted a line of string lights and mistletoe adorning the door, casting a traditional charm and a hint of New Year's spirit. Driving in, there was an eerie silence as he found no one to welcome him. He figured maybe they hadn't heard his car pull up. Parking his car in the driveway, he ventured inside to the deserted hall. Roman was about to call out when the curtain drape shifted, revealing a figure emerging from the eastern door, grinning warmly. "Roman, you've come back." Roman stood there like a statue carved from uncertainty as his heart hammered in a staccato rhythm. Memories that had been long dormant flooded back with an unrelenting force. Could this truly be her? After the relentless struggle to banish her from his heart, here she was, ready to catch him in a web of astonishment that he couldn't escape. Roman's emotions became a tempest within him, a swirling mix of surprise, disbelief, and an undeniable ache of yearning. The past now roared back with a vengeance as if time itself had reversed its course. It was as though a piece of his life that he had meticulously buried unearthed itself in the most unexpected fashion, leaving him utterly disarmed by her presence. "What's the matter? Did you not recognize me?" Iris approached him with a teasing hint of nostalgia in her voice. Roman remained lost in his thoughts. Suddenly, the door swung open once more, revealing a group of familiar faces. Among them were Roman's parents, his sister Rachel, and Iris's family. Her parents, Frank and Polly, and her brother Finn stood there along with his own family. Leading the way was Rachel, wearing a triumphant smile as she addressed Victoria. "Mom, remember how I told you Roman would be pleasantly surprised? Look at him. He is still in a daze." Victoria turned to Roman, who still seemed lost in the moment. "Roman, it's all Rachel's doing. She was determined to surprise you. I thought about texting you when you didn't come, but Rachel was pretty confident that you would show up."
"Roman, it's been forever since I celebrated New Year at your place. Iris coming back this year is a pleasant surprise, and we can relive the good old times," Frank said, giving Roman a friendly pat on the shoulder. "Iris was worried about the weather and if you'd make it. I told her that there is no way you would miss the chance to come to your family at New Year's." Iris shot her father a playful look. "Seriously, it was raining and snowing the entire day. I've been low-key panicking." Laughter echoed through the room, and the message couldn't have been clearer. Finn approached Roman with a warm hug. "Dude, it's been ages. You're looking sharp. This year's shaping up to be another winner for the Spencer family." Roman responded with a modest grin. "Absolutely, you've been holding it down for the Anderson crew these past couple of years, no doubt." Frank grinned and turned to George. "We can't cling to the past. It's all about these grown-up kids now. Let them take the reins. They've got fresh ideas." Spencer's been thriving lately, thanks to Roman's leadership. They even snagged the ecological park project. George nodded in agreement. "You're right. It's time to let the young guns handle things. Roman and Finn have both grown into fine young men." As the room settled, Roman found himself unable to tear his gaze away from Iris. In this precise moment, he couldn't help but feel a swirl of emotions deep within. Her presence stirred a mixture of surprise and longing in his heart. Iris had been his missing piece, a void he hadn't fully realized until now. Her return felt like a flood of warmth after a long, cold winter. He had missed her more than he'd ever admitted, and seeing her again brought an overwhelming rush of emotion. Slowly, Iris approached him with concerned eyes. "Roman, you seem upset. Didn't you want me to come back?" Roman was taken aback by her observation. "Why would you say that?" "I'm thrilled that you're back." "Really? Are you?" Iris scrutinized his face, searching for sincerity. Roman nodded with unwavering earnestness. "Absolutely." Her voice quivered as she confessed. "Roman, I've missed you so much." Roman's hand reached out to gently brush away the tears forming at the corners of her eyes. But then, Iris threw herself into his arms.
For a moment, his hand hovered in the air, hesitating, but he couldn't resist embracing her just as he always had. He whispered soothingly, "Don't cry, love. It's not the best way to start the new year. You must have endured so much during those lonely years abroad." "Yes," Iris agreed with a nod as she nestled in his embrace. "I'm not leaving, Roman. I've made up my mind about that 5-year agreement we made." Iris hesitated as her voice tinged with shyness. "I hope it's not too late." Roman's body trembled slightly as he pondered her words. His hands around her waist gradually loosened, and he was about to respond when Iris voiced her irritation. "Oh, why are you peeking at us?" Rachel burst into giggles and fled towards the dining area, calling out, "Aunt Polly, save me!" Roman followed them at a leisurely pace, watching the two laughing figures ahead. It felt like a journey back in time to the days when he had harbored deeper feelings for Iris. Her presence had once brought him tranquility, but now it was different. Holding her moments ago didn't stir the deepest recesses of his heart. It was akin to holding an old friend, a past love. The bond of childhood friendship remained, but the love had shifted. There was only one person who occupied his heart, Daisy. Around a spacious table, members of the Spencer family and the Anderson family gathered for dinner. The atmosphere was positively electric, mainly due to Rachel's vibrant presence. She acted as the source of everyone's entertainment. Her voice filled the room, carrying conversations and laughter with it. Glasses were raised, and even George was permitted a small glass of fruit wine. The liveliness mirrored the times of old, almost as if nothing had changed. In recent years, the two families have kept their distance due to Iris's relationship. The Anderson family believed that their daughter had let Roman down, leading to a sense of embarrassment and a reluctance to reconnect. They also feared that Roman might be reminded of the breakup upon seeing them. This gathering felt like a reunion that bridged the gap of the past few years, and Rachel's lively spirit only added to the festivity. Amid the toasts and refilled cups, Roman unconsciously had a few more drinks than he intended, causing his face to flush. Iris noticed his flushed face and swiftly passed a glass of water to him. "Roman, take it easy on the drinks. We don't want you getting drunk. Here, have some water." Roman took it, muttering a thanks, just when Finn chimed in. "Iris, I've had a bit too much too. How about some water for your dear brother?" Iris laughed and poured a glass of water for Finn. "Of course, big brother." Polly cast a reproachful glance at Finn. "You're acting jealous. Go find someone for yourself. Roman's older than me, and Aunt Vicky isn't rushing him." "Why the hurry for me, Mom?" Finn retorted. Polly shook her head and said, "Roman's in a different situation. What about you? I haven't seen you take any of your relationships seriously." Victoria chimed in with a smile. "Oh, it's all the same. Who says I'm not in a hurry? It just so happens that Iris is back. After the new year, our two families will work together to pick a suitable day for their union." Polly nodded in agreement. These two aren't exactly youngsters anymore. It's time for them to settle down sooner rather than later. Roman found himself increasingly troubled by his mother's persistent prodding. Each remark aimed at his romantic life felt like a subtle push toward a direction he wasn't ready to embrace. With each mention of his age and the urgency of settling down, a subtle sense of unease had begun to gnaw at him. His mother's words were a reminder of all the expectations that they had from him, and though he cherished the time spent with his family, he couldn't escape it. He questioned himself, wondering if he was indeed at a stage in life where he should be seeking a more permanent commitment. The room seemed to spin a bit more for him than the effect of the wine. Suddenly, George's incessant coughing broke his reverie, and he turned his attention towards his father. In that moment of concern for his father's well-being, the distress about his own life choices receded into the background, but it lingered in the corners of his mind, awaiting the next opportunity to resurface. Victoria swiftly patted George on the back while Iris hurriedly fetched some water to soothe his throat. Frank voiced his worry. "George, you should mind your health. Shouldn't you have skipped that glass of wine?" "That's not it," Victoria reassured, gently rubbing her husband's back. "He's just so delighted today that he's feeling a bit emotional. The doctor advised him to not get too worked up. We need to be cautious when talking to him now to avoid causing any distress." After some moments, George finally settled down and took a few sips of water. Roman found himself torn by an internal conflict, a storm of emotions churning within him. On one hand, there was the weight of familial expectations and duty pressing down upon his shoulders. His parents had made it abundantly clear that marrying Iris was not just a choice, but an obligation, for the sake of the Spencer family's prosperity. The long-standing friendship between the Spencer and Anderson families was a bedrock of their social circles, and the prospect of joining these two influential houses held undeniable allure. In this turbulent sea of emotions, Roman wrestled with the knowledge that the decision he made would shape not only his future, but the future of two intertwined families. It was a choice that would test the very depths of his commitment to the Spencer legacy. If it was a few months ago, he would have definitely felt that this was the right thing to do. However, the appearance of Daisy made him understand why he had waited for Iris for many years. It was because the heavens had arranged it long ago, and the one who was really destined was not Iris, but Daisy. She was the one he was really waiting for in this life. Originally, Roman had contemplated seizing the moment and making his feelings about Daisy clear. However, a gnawing hesitation took root within him. Publicly declaring his affections would not only cause discomfort for the Andersons, but also deeply embarrass his own parents. His mother's subtle hints had already cast a shadow of understanding. This was not the time for such revelations, especially on the eve of the New Year's celebration. With a heavy heart, Roman reluctantly abandoned his immediate plans. He knew that the path forward required some consideration. The hope remained that there would come a time in the future when he could explain his emotions to Iris privately. As long as Iris came to a decision to step aside, Roman believed that the situation could be navigated with relative ease. The delicate dance of emotions and social expectations continued, leaving Roman with a sense of anticipation and apprehension for the days to come. Would Roman be forced to choose between Daisy or Iris? Or was his fate already decided? The whole world was overjoyed that it was a new year. Fireworks and music could be heard loudly on the streets. Meanwhile, Daisy paced around her room restlessly, her eyes averting to the clock with every passing minute. She had hoped Roman would return after midnight, but he hadn't. On top of it, he wasn't answering her phone calls. As the night deepened its hold, Roman's prolonged absence cast a growing shadow over Daisy's heart. Her concern for him had transformed into a persistent ache, like a relentless drumbeat in the back of her mind. Each ring of her phone that went unanswered in the quiet of the night seemed to magnify the void left by his missing presence. Daisy's anxiety grew with each passing moment. In her attempt to conceal her growing unease, Daisy wore a polite smile as she cautiously voiced her thoughts. "Maybe," she began with a hint of uncertainty, "the weather's gone crazy, the roads must be blocked with such heavy snow. Roman's probably gonna be late." Nancy, ever perceptive to Daisy's underlying anxiety, exchanged a meaningful look with Kevin as they silently acknowledged her friend's concern. Nancy chimed in, echoing Daisy's sentiments. "Yeah, those roads at night can turn into real ice rinks. Let's hunker down in the house while we wait for him." As they retreated into the mansion, a palpable sense of anticipation and unease hung heavy in the night air. Daisy's feelings were a complex mix of anticipation, longing, and a touch of melancholy. As the clock ticked towards midnight, she couldn't help but think about the passage of time and what the new year might bring. Her eyes often strayed to the clock, a symbol of the ever-advancing seconds, and each chime felt like a reminder of moments slipping away. Despite the jovial atmosphere in the room with Nancy and Kevin laughing at the TV, Daisy's mind was elsewhere. She felt a sense of yearning, perhaps for something more in her life. This New Year's Eve held a special significance for her, and the approaching midnight hour carried both hope and uncertainty. Daisy's silence spoke volumes about her inner thoughts and emotions. She was caught between the excitement of the celebration and the introspection that comes with the turning of the year. Her concern for Roman was etched across her face as she stared at her phone in disbelief. It wasn't just a passing worry, it was a deep-rooted anxiety that gnawed at her. As the seconds ticked away, her thoughts raced. Roman had promised to be back, and his sudden unavailability sent her imagination into overdrive. She envisioned all sorts of worst-case scenarios, each one more troubling than the last. "No, don't think about it," Kevin said as he tried to soothe Daisy's anxiety. "Today is New Year's Eve, after all. Maybe his parents didn't let him leave, or maybe he drank too much and they didn't allow him to drive back. But if he wasn't coming back, why didn't he call me?" Daisy was very anxious. "He never does this. Something must have happened." "Don't worry, I'll check if there has been any road blockage due to snow." Kevin used his mobile phone to surf the internet and checked if there was any accident on the expressway. He found nothing on it and showed it to Daisy as well. Daisy felt relieved. As long as nothing happens. Maybe he really drank and couldn't drive. "We don't have to wait for him." "That's fine." Kevin patted Daisy on the shoulder and said with a smile, "If you can't handle it, go to sleep. You'll feel better when you have some rest. I'll wait until midnight." Daisy leaned back on the sofa as she spoke and stared blankly at the TV. Kevin deliberately teased her. "Just look at you, so drunk on love." Sure enough, Daisy blushed and reached out to hit Kevin. "Hey, you are such a bully." Daisy stood up and looked out the window. "Let's go out for a while. There are still a lot of fireworks left." As Daisy ignited the fireworks, Roman found himself caught in a different world entirely. He was in the company of Finn, sharing a drink and engaging in conversation. Although he had intended to make his exit after dinner, circumstances had other plans. The evening unfolded with a series of interruptions. First, George and Frank, perhaps sensing Roman's intention to leave, approached him with questions about the company. Discussions about business prospects and the future of their endeavors followed suit. Roman's initial plan to leave quietly faded into the background as he got entangled in these discussions, leaving him with unspoken words hanging in the air. Victoria and Polly opened up to him about Iris's challenging journey abroad in recent years. Polly, in particular, implored him to take care of Iris with genuine sincerity. These were not just friends, they were like family. Roman, despite the weight of the situation, didn't want to turn New Year's Eve into a night of confrontation. With an effort to maintain a semblance of composure, he agreed to her wishes. Deep down, though, his emotions were far from settled. He understood the responsibility that had just been entrusted to him, and the gravity of it all hung over him like a storm cloud on that otherwise celebratory evening. Roman found himself encircled by Rachel, Finn, and Iris before he could even think of an excuse to slip away. Rachel, ever the chatterbox, filled the air with her words, while Finn brought a glass, seeking solace in the drink. Iris, on the other hand, remained mostly quiet. However, her eyes betrayed a multitude of emotions that tugged at Roman's heart. He couldn't ignore the intensity of their gazes. In that moment, it dawned on him that this entire evening revolved around him. His parents, Rachel, and perhaps even Iris had sensed his inner turmoil. They hadn't planned to let him escape when he returned today. To have a falling out on such a day, let alone the potential damage to his reputation, his father's health alone made it a nearly impossible choice. Roman's commitment to both love and duty bore down on him like a heavy burden. As he grappled with this internal struggle, a sense of melancholy settled over him, prompting him to seek refuge in more wine. Rachel occasionally leaned against him or clung to his arm playfully. He couldn't help but notice that she was intentionally trying to divert his attention. His emotions were indeed in disarray, and her efforts only added to the confusion swirling within him. In the end, Roman succumbed to the effects of alcohol, and Finn helped him get to his room. Watching his unsteady steps as he retreated, Rachel finally let out a relieved sigh. Victoria chimed in. "It's finally over." Rachel muttered in frustration. What kind of spell did that daisy cast on him? He would have been like that if Iris hadn't returned, but now that everyone is here, his heart seems distant. "After New Year's, I'll pay a visit to that girl," Victoria declared. "I can sense that she has a good heart. If she chooses to leave of her own accord, Roman will likely come to his senses. After all, the Spencer family can't allow him to marry a maid." "Mom, don't worry," Rachel said with a firm face. "I'm on your side this time. We can definitely bring my brother back." "I hope so," Victoria sighed and asked, "Have the Anderson family returned to their rooms?" "Aunt Polly has gone back to her room. Uncle Frank is talking to Dad. Iris is in my room. She will sleep with me tonight." Victoria nodded. "Where's your brother's phone?" "I turned off the phone and put it back secretly." Rachel couldn't help laughing when she mentioned this. Victoria poked her on the forehead. "When he wakes up tomorrow morning, he might lose his temper." Iris peeked into the room and asked, "Are you heading back to your room, Rachel?" Rachel rose with a smile and replied, "Yes, I am." "Go ahead then. You two can chat in your room and we can have some rest as well," Iris's mother suggested. Rachel linked her arm with Iris as they strolled down the corridor adorned with lights and candles. When the wind settled, the lamps stood in silent elegance, casting a warm glow that infused even the smallest corner with a sense of festivity. Teasingly, Rachel asked, "When you marry my brother, we can have our celebration right here in this house." Iris chuckled. "You're something else." "I'll be frank, Roman seemed a bit off tonight. Are you sure he's happy?" Rachel shook her head, countering, "No, he was genuinely thrilled to see you. That's why he seemed a bit dazed." Iris contemplated for a moment. "I think he seemed rather preoccupied with something. I could feel the distance, you know." Observing the lights along the way, Iris asked again, "Is that the maid you mentioned earlier?" Rachel responded with a disapproving tone. "Why are you concerned about her? She's just a maid and you hold a special place in my brother's heart." Iris chuckled. "So there's still hope for me?" "Absolutely. You are none other than the to-be daughter-in-law of the Spencer family," Rachel affirmed with a nod. Then she furrowed her brow suddenly. "But why did you suddenly return out of the blue? What about you and Adam?" Iris's expression shifted momentarily, but soon she let out a self-mocking laugh. "The affair between Adam and I ended 5 years ago. It was just my own wishful thinking. Since then, I only wanted to move on with life." Iris's emotions regarding Roman were a complex tapestry woven with threads of affection, nostalgia, and a hint of uncertainty. Her heart held a special place for him, one that time had neither erased nor diminished. Their shared history, the memories of their past, and the deep connection they once had were like vivid colors on the canvas of her heart. As she watched Roman's behavior during the evening, she noticed the genuine happiness in his eyes upon seeing her, and that brought warmth to her heart. Yet, beneath that happiness, there seemed to be a layer of distraction, something unspoken that weighed on his mind. The passing years had brought changes and maturity to both of them. Iris had evolved into a more self-assured and perceptive woman, no longer the naive girl she once was. She couldn't help but wonder about the intricacies of Roman's feelings and whether they mirrored her own. Did he still carry a torch for her, or was it a mere reminiscence of their shared past? It was a night of celebration and family, but Iris's heart held a secret hope that maybe, just maybe, their paths might align once more. Yet she also recognized the need for caution, wary of the uncertainties that lay ahead. In that cozy room, beneath the veil of sleepiness and the anticipation of firecrackers, Iris's heart danced between the past and the present, caught in the delicate web of emotions she felt for Roman. Roman still loved her, didn't he? How could he not? She was the love of his life, after all. Or have things changed since she left? Iris couldn't help but wonder. Roman couldn't stay away from Daisy, not on the new year. At precisely 2:30 in the morning, he left the farmhouse. Despite the lingering ache in his head, he pressed on to return to Daisy. As he ignited the car's engine, a fear of interception gnawed at him, but the road was deserted, so he accelerated without restraint. The path ahead remained shrouded in darkness, yet his speed remained unwavering until he reached the town. In the obscurity of night, he was the sole occupant of the expressway. No soul dared to venture out at this hour, especially in such cold weather. The world slumbered while he remained vigilant, all driven by the memory of Daisy. For the first time, he had failed to uphold his promise to Daisy, to share in the New Year's festivities and light fireworks together. Even though it was belated, he was resolute in returning as swiftly as possible, not only to honor his commitment to her, but also to demonstrate his unwavering devotion, a testament to his genuine affection for Daisy. He rubbed his numbed face and hands and pressed forward, only finding solace when he finally reached the city. Overnight, the whole city turned into a winter wonderland, blanketed in a serene hush. Almost everyone had snuggled beneath cozy covers, savoring this rare moment of relaxation. On the first day of the new year, Daisy had planned to sleep in, but her eyes snapped open. There, beside her bed, a figure sat. The room remained dim, revealing only the outline of a tall person. She quickly composed herself, clutching her blanket tightly as she inquired, "When did you get back?" "Just returned," Roman replied with a gentle tone. "Did I disturb your sleep?" Daisy's heart raced as she hurried into his arms, desperately seeking comfort. But an unsettling sensation gripped her as if something was amiss. Roman's usual warm embrace had turned strangely cold, sending shivers down her spine. The dampness of his sweater and the icy touch of his hands filled her with worry. Daisy couldn't help but reach out and gently touch his face, her concern evident in her voice as she asked, "Are you feeling cold? Hurry, let's get you under the covers." She tried to take away his damp coat, but Roman halted her with a firm tone, saying, "Stay right here. I need a shower first." In that moment, Daisy's emotions were a whirlwind of concern, confusion, and a growing sense of unease. Roman, on the other hand, seemed distant and preoccupied, his actions hinting at a hidden turmoil beneath the surface. Roman met straight to the bathroom to take a shower. Hearing the rush of water from within, Daisy discreetly reached for her phone to check the time. It was only 6:30. No wonder the room was shrouded in darkness. She decided to get up quietly and approached the window. To her astonishment, she was met with a world blanketed in white. The entire landscape had been transformed, every surface adorned with a thick layer of snow, forming a patchwork quilt of pure whiteness. As Daisy was gazing outside, she was wrapped in a warm embrace from behind, and she couldn't help but sink into Roman's chest. "Hello, love," he whispered in her ear. Daisy just blushed some more in reply. Holding Daisy in his embrace, Roman felt all his efforts had come to fruition, him driving through the snow. Daisy spoke, and her complaint held an underlying tone of concern. "Why did you leave the house in this snow? You should have waited until morning. Do you know how crazy it is to drive in such weather?" Her words melted Roman's heart even further, and he embraced her tightly. His voice was filled with affection. "I couldn't bear to be away from you any longer." Such tender words of love left Daisy momentarily speechless. "I'm exhausted," Roman said in a hoarse voice. It then dawned on Daisy that Roman had hardly slept all night, so she led him to the bed to rest. Roman, however, couldn't let his unanswered question linger any longer. I didn't answer your calls or text last night. Aren't you upset with me?" Daisy nestled in his arms and intertwined her hand with his. "No," she reassured him in her soft voice. "I figured either the road must have been blocked or you couldn't drive due to drinking. I knew there must have been a valid reason for your delay."
"I did have a bit too much to drink," Roman confessed, closing his eyes, his voice tinged with regret. "I'm sorry I couldn't keep our promise to set off fireworks and welcome the new year together."
Daisy's response was filled with understanding and reassurance. "Don't apologize, Roman. We'll have plenty of opportunities in the future to welcome the new year together." Her words were tender and comforting. She continued, "Last night, Kevin and Nancy were there with me. I wasn't alone." As she spoke, Daisy suddenly sensed that something was amiss. She glanced up, but Roman had already succumbed to sleep. His exhaustion finally caught up to him. She quietly kissed his lips and closed her eyes as well. When Roman left the house in the middle of the night, Iris was aware of it. She was staying in the room just across from him and was a light sleeper. She had caught on the faint hints of footsteps and the sound of a car starting. She knew it was Roman leaving, yet she didn't rush to confront him. The previous night, she had observed everything with a cold, distant gaze. When she had returned earlier, she had expected Roman would be overjoyed. However, the surprise in his eyes didn't hold much joy, just a sense of astonishment. It became clear to her that the romantic connection between Roman and her was now in the past. But she couldn't just believe it had ended. She had to wait and watch. Initially, she, like Victoria and the others, believed that Roman's actions were driven by a fear of loneliness and that everything would return to normal once she returned. However, they had all underestimated the depth of Roman's feelings for Daisy. She understood Roman well. Once he makes a decision, he stands unwavering, even if it means going against his own family. In the morning, Victoria was livid when she learned that Roman had already left last night. She angrily voiced her thoughts to her husband. Why is he so thoughtless? The Anderson family is still here and Iris just returned. This is a blatant disregard for her feelings. What will she think? What will her family think? They seemed to have resolved things last night, so why this suddenly? George dismissed her frustration with a wave of his hand.
"There's no use in complaining now. He wanted to leave last night, but we convinced him to stay. Given his anger, it's already a concession that he didn't walk out in the middle of the dinner. He spared us some embarrassment." Victoria remained vexed. "But how will you explain this to our friends who were convinced that our son would marry their daughter?" George offered a solution to their predicament and said to his wife, "Let's not let anyone know that he left last night. Instead, we'll say that he left in the morning due to an urgent matter." Victoria was skeptical of this plan. What urgent matter could come on the first day of the new year? Who would believe that? George said, "That's what we'll go with. Don't worry, everything will be fine." However, Victoria couldn't shake off her concern. Is it safe for him to travel in such heavy snow? "We should call and make sure he arrived safely," George reassured her. "I already called Nancy and she said that the car is parked at home, so he should be upstairs resting." Victoria made up her mind, saying, "Good, I'll talk to Rachel and tell her to explain it to Iris. We mustn't upset the girl. As long as Iris remains committed to this, we won't give up either and things will work out. That's our only option." When Rachel learned that Roman had left overnight, her reaction eclipsed even Victoria's. She immediately rolled up her sleeves as if preparing for a battle. Iris had her doubts last night. What on earth was my brother thinking? Is that maid really worth it? To abandon his family and Iris and rush back to her in this storm, is he out of his mind? No, I have to go talk to him. "Ouch, my dear lord, please lower your voice," Victoria urged, her anger simmering beneath the surface as her voice tinged with exasperation. But at this moment she sought to persuade Rachel, her tone carrying a sense of urgency.
Your father has advised us not to let the Andersons know about Roman's sudden leave. Please, help comfort Iris and don't let her waver. She's finally made up her mind to be with your brother. We can't afford to back down now, or we might truly end up with a maid as our daughter-in-law. Rachel responded with determination. Don't worry, Mother. As long as I'm here, that will never happen. Victoria nodded, trying to ease the tension that hung in the air like a heavy cloud. All right, go and spend time with Iris. Your Uncle Frank and the others will be staying another day. Just remember to choose your words carefully. Understood, Rachel replied. She knew the importance of maintaining appearances in this delicate situation, so she swallowed her anger and headed out to join Iris. Her steps echoed the clash of emotions within their family. As Iris stood on the porch, her contemplation meandered through the complex tapestry of her relationship with Roman and her own past. The snow-draped plum trees seemed to mirror the challenges she had faced. Their vibrant red blossoms peeking through the white blanket of snow symbolized her resilience in the face of adversity. She thought about Roman's sudden departure, a reminder of the uncertainties that had marked their journey together. Memories of their shared moments flooded her mind. She recalled the initial hesitation and doubts that had once clouded her feelings for him. Yet, as time passed, those doubts gradually transformed into a deep affection. Iris had come to realize the depth of her love for Roman, and the prospect of being together had become a cherished dream. But now, with Roman's abrupt exit, uncertainty loomed once again. She pondered whether this was a mere hiccup or a sign of deeper complications. The conflict between her desire for a future with Roman and the practicality of their circumstances weighed heavily on her. Iris knew that, like these blossoms, she would persist through the challenges that lay ahead. The beauty of the scene before her served as a reminder that even amidst adversity, love and resilience could bloom anew. Iris sat on the porch, looking at the white landscape stretched out in front of her. Rachel found her and joined her. For a few minutes, they sat side by side, looking at Finn, who was trying some weird snow sport. He staggered, took a step back, and fell on the snow. Iris and Rachel exchanged sly grins. Finn glared at them and vigorously stamped the snow off his shoes. Then, he suddenly asked, Roman isn't up yet. Let's go wake him up. Iris replied, Roman had a bit too much to drink last night. Let him sleep a while longer. What's the matter? Finn squinted at his sister. Roman isn't here. He left for the city. Now let's go inside. Rachel chimed in. Finn exclaimed, surprised. On the first day of the new year, where could he have gone? He is back in the city, Rachel said. He left early in the morning. It looked like John had called Roman back for some urgent matter. Finn looked at her suspiciously. Why did John look for him on the first day of the new year? How would I know? Rachel said angrily. There must be something important to attend to. Iris extended her hand and interjected. Why do you two argue whenever you're together? Aren't you supposed to be grown-ups? Talking, the three of them went inside. The whole family was sitting there, sipping tea. Finn grinned and said, It's a shame Roman isn't here to enjoy the holiday with us. Uncle George, don't fuss over him. He'd just be missing out on some fantastic food. Who told him to skip town on New Year's Day? Frank glanced at his son and remarked, Roman had an urgent matter back in the city. It's not like he's careless about it. Finn disapproved, saying, What could be so urgent on New Year's Day? I wouldn't have rushed back to work, no matter how urgent it might be. George spoke deliberately. Well, we made plans without asking him. Sometimes you can't simply ignore work no matter what the occasion is. I get that, Finn said. Roman is so much better than me when it comes to shouldering duties. Victoria, with a subtle, protective tone, explained, The person he's visiting is going on vacation tomorrow, so he scheduled the appointment early in the morning and he couldn't miss it. Iris stood there, her emotions a tumultuous sea of confusion and concern. Victoria's attempt to cover for Roman left her with a knot of uncertainty in her stomach. She felt torn between wanting to confront Roman about his abrupt departure and the gnawing feeling that there was something more to the story. The furrowed brow and the slight trembling of her lower lip betrayed her inner turmoil. It was clear that Iris was deeply affected by the situation, and the painful reality of the situation weighed heavily on her heart. Back in the city, Roman and Daisy ushered in the first day of the year with a sense of tranquility, having been in a peaceful slumber for hours after Roman's return. Perhaps it was because Roman was right there beside her. Daisy slept soundly upon returning to the bed. When she finally stirred, it was already 11 o'clock. She didn't immediately open her eyes. Instead, she lazily nuzzled against Roman's arms and murmured, "What time is it?" For a long moment, there was no response. Daisy began to feel a sense of unease. She half opened her eyes and realized that Roman was still asleep beside her. A wistful smile tugged at her lips. In the past, every time she woke up, Roman would be awake with her. It was a comforting routine. She never knew who would rouse first, but whenever she shifted, Roman would tighten his arms around her or tenderly plant a kiss on her face. Daisy allowed him a bit more rest before she rose to take a shower and then headed downstairs to assist Nancy. After a while, Roman descended the stairs, beckoned Nancy over, and handed her an envelope. "I should have given this to you before leaving." In the Spencer family, it was a tradition to provide their staff with a New Year's bonus. Roman had unintentionally missed giving it to her before he left, and Nancy had been too occupied to remember. To her surprise, Roman had remembered it after coming back. Nancy felt her heart swell with happiness. Daisy was deeply touched by this thoughtful gesture. She simply wrapped her arms around Roman in a heartfelt hug, letting the warmth of the moment speak for itself. Nancy quietly retreated into the kitchen, exhaling a heartfelt sigh of emotion. She remembered the countless times Roman's mother had predicted that his relationship with Daisy wouldn't last, assuring Nancy that when his interest waned, he'd return. However, as she observed their recent interactions, Nancy couldn't help but feel that Madame had been mistaken. The boss was genuinely devoted to Daisy, and Nancy could sense the profound love Roman held for the girl. Whenever Daisy was near, his eyes lit up and it was clear he couldn't do without her. The Roman Spencer, who had always been aloof and distant, seemed like an entirely different person when he was with Daisy. Nancy had never witnessed a man love so intensely and completely as her boss. Yet it was precisely because of this deep love that Nancy found herself more anxious. Considering Madame's disapproving attitude toward Daisy and Roman's relationship, Nancy couldn't help but dread the inevitable outcome. She shuddered, unable to bear thinking about it. Quietly leaving the room, Nancy noticed Roman and Daisy weren't in the living area. They must have headed upstairs. Glancing at the wall clock, she realized it was about time she started to prepare dinner. As she turned back towards the kitchen, the doorbell chimed. Nancy hurried to answer it, finding a striking young woman at the door. She was taken aback, finding this visitor oddly reminiscent of Miss Iris. The girl flashed a smile and regarded her. "Hey, I'm Iris. Aunt Victoria sent me to check on Roman and make sure he's okay." Nancy's mind raced. A whirlwind of emotions and memories stirred within her. After 5 years with the Spencer family, that name, Iris, was all too familiar, tied to events she could never forget. Lost in thought, she absent-mindedly opened the door. The gravity of the situation caused her to overlook her usual protocol and inform Roman first. She stood there, a sense of unease creeping in, as she greeted this unexpected guest. Iris nodded, her smile still in place, seemingly unaware of the turmoil she had triggered. "You must be Nancy." "Where's Roman?" "He's upstairs," Nancy replied hastily, realizing the gravity of her omission. She stammered slightly, her voice trembling. "Miss Iris, please have a seat. Let me fetch Sir for you." But Iris had other plans. She winked playfully. "No need. I'll go up and surprise him." Before Nancy could voice her concerns or attempt to stop her, Iris turned on her heels and ascended the staircase. Nancy's face contorted with worry. In the bedroom, Roman and Daisy each were busy with their own chores. Roman sat on the sofa engrossed in his phone while Daisy packed her clothes. Iris approached the door and suddenly entered, jolting Roman from his screen. "Why are you here? Auntie mentioned you left for some urgent work," Iris explained as she came closer, reaching out toward Roman's hand. "Is it all sorted out?" Roman turned his head away. "It's okay. Everything's taken care of." Although Roman didn't pull away from her touch right away, deep down he knew that the moment he had been apprehensive about was finally upon him. Daisy stood by the bed, utterly stunned. She recognized Iris immediately. Despite the passing years, Iris's appearance remained unchanged from the photo, untouched by the passage of time. She was as radiant and beautiful as ever. This was Iris, the girl Roman had loved for more than a decade, which explained her comfort and familiarity in his presence. It was as if Iris had only just noticed Daisy, and she approached her with a warm smile. "You must be Daisy. Hello, I'm Iris." She extended her hand towards Daisy. Still in a daze, Daisy had no time to process the situation. Iris smiled and shook her hand. "Daisy, you're quite charming. No wonder Roman is smitten with you." Daisy's heart raced as she stood there, trying to convey the truth to Iris. Her voice trembled with sincerity as she began, "No, Iris, it's not what you think." Daisy desperately wanted to clarify that her relationship with Roman was not what Iris might have assumed. Her voice quivered as she tried to explain, wanting Iris to understand that there was more to their connection than met the eye. But the moment she caught the cold, piercing gaze that Roman directed at her, her words faltered. The intensity of his look silenced her, making her hesitate to reveal her true feelings. At that moment, Daisy found herself caught between a desire to assert her place in Roman's life and the fear of losing what they had. Meeting Iris had brought to the surface her deepest insecurities, making her question her worthiness compared to this elegant and confident woman. Iris turned her gaze to Roman, her expression carrying a hint of amusement. "Roman, what's gotten into you? You've scared the poor girl." Roman felt his anger rise. "Iris, let's head downstairs and have a talk." Roman's face darkened with determination. "All right." Iris remained composed, turning to reassure Daisy, "Don't worry, he's all bark and no bite. He'll calm down soon enough." As they went downstairs, Roman wasted no time in addressing the elephant in the room. His voice carried a tone of remorse as he cut straight to the heart of the matter. "Iris, I'm sorry. I should have told you on the eve of that night. I can't fulfill the 5-year agreement." Iris nodded in response, her sigh carrying a deep sense of melancholy. "It seems that we don't have fate on our side," she lamented softly. "I met the wrong person at the right time, and when I finally wanted to return to the right person, I missed my chance again. It looks like I'm destined to be alone in this life." The weight of their shared childhood and growing up together hung heavily in the air. Iris had occupied a special place in Roman's heart for more than a decade, and although he had moved on, she couldn't see herself not ending up with him. At that moment, the pain and turmoil within both Roman and Iris were palpable. The years of longing and the realization that their paths were diverging all came together to create an atmosphere thick with bittersweet emotions. It was a moment of heartache and acceptance. The weight of their choices hung heavy in the air, leaving them both with a profound sense of loss. "In this world, there will be no one who treats me better than you," Iris confessed to Roman in a quivering voice. "I always thought that no matter how far I go, you will be waiting for me at the same place. I have always had that confidence. Now it seems that I was wrong. It was really lonely to stay in a foreign country. In the dead of night, I always wondered if I made a wrong choice. But above all, I missed you the most, Roman." Iris gazed out of the window, her eyes fixed on the blanket of snow that enveloped the world outside. The view before her seemed to mirror the colorlessness that had seeped into her life. Her voice carried a heavy weight as she confessed, "I lost the most precious thing I had. Initially, I was too ashamed to return, but as the 5-year deadline drew closer, the fear of missing you and a lifetime of happiness overcame my pride, and I mustered the courage to come back. Yet, it was still a step too late." The loneliness in Iris's voice was palpable, a haunting echo of missed opportunities and regrets. She fell into silence for a moment, her thoughts adrift in the sea of what-ifs. Then, in a sudden burst of emotion, she lifted her head. "Roman," she began, her voice tinged with vulnerability. "If I had returned just a few months earlier, would you have accepted me?" In those words, Iris laid bare the longing and uncertainty that had plagued her heart for years. Roman, upon hearing Iris's unexpected confession of love, experienced a whirlwind of emotions. Surprise and shock washed over him because he had believed that Iris didn't love him in the past. Her revelation reopened wounds he thought had healed. Yet, buried beneath the shock, there was a glimmer of hope and nostalgia. The past memories and emotions he had for Iris, though faint, still lingered in his heart. Iris, on the other hand, was overwhelmed by a mix of emotions as well. Her confession was an act of vulnerability and courage. She had carried the weight of regret and longing for years, and finally laying her feelings bare was both liberating and equally terrifying. Her smile, amidst the tears, revealed her genuine desire for things to have been different, for a chance to rewrite their history. In this charged moment, both Roman and Iris were confronted with the complexity of their emotions. It was a blend of regret, longing, surprise, and the bittersweet realization of missed opportunities. Roman was silent for a while. If Iris had come back before Daisy, they would have been together, right? Roman looked her in the eyes and nodded in a yes. Iris wiped her eyes and smiled, her emotions a complex blend of relief and lingering regret. "Then I regret it even more. I really should have come back earlier." Roman felt the weight of his past actions and expressed his remorse. "I'm very sorry." He apologized with genuine regret in his voice. Iris responded with a wistful smile. "Of course, you're sorry. You proposed the 5-year agreement, but you didn't keep it. So you owe me now." Roman met her gaze with sincerity in his eyes. "If you want, I can make it up to you." Iris knew that some things couldn't be resolved with simple compensation. She smiled and said, "Compensation? This is not something that can be compensated that easily. I'll let you pay it back when I think about it." Roman's commitment was unwavering. "Iris, no matter what happens in the future, you can still come to me anytime. This will never change." "Thank you, Roman," Iris replied. She then stood up. "I'm very happy to hear you say that, and I'm relieved to see that you're fine. I'll take my leave now." Roman also rose from his seat. "I'll see you off." As they walked out together, Iris turned her head and playfully remarked, "Let's end it here. You can head back upstairs. Daisy must be upset after being neglected for so long." Roman responded with confidence, "She won't." However, he couldn't resist stealing a concerned glance towards the second floor. The windows remained closed, the curtains only half drawn, and there was absence of any sign of Daisy. The silence seemed to hang in the air, thick with unanswered questions and unspoken emotions. Iris opened the car door and gracefully settled into her seat without another glance at Roman. Her hand extended out the window for a brief wave, and then she smoothly drove towards the gate. Her departure was filled with unspoken emotions and the tantalizing possibility of a new beginning. Roman watched her car exit through the wrought iron gate, the engine's gentle hum fading into the distance. With a sigh, he turned around and retraced his steps back into the house. Upon entering the room, his gaze fell upon the sight of neatly folded clothes resting on the bed. Meanwhile, Daisy was sitting on the sofa with her head down and unconsciously twisted her fingers with nervous energy. The room held an atmosphere thick with tension and unresolved feelings, leaving Roman to wonder how to mend what had been broken. Roman had entered the room with the intent to reprimand Daisy, but as he watched her sitting there, vulnerable and lost, his stern words melted away. Leaning against the door, he observed her in silence, torn between concern and understanding. After a brief moment, he couldn't resist the urge to approach her. Gently, he pulled her onto his lap, a silent gesture of comfort and support. His softly spoken question, "Are you scared?" carried a mix of tenderness and worry, revealing his deep care for her well-being. Daisy, still caught in the whirlwind of emotions, stared at him with wide eyes, her initial shock slowly giving way to a sense of security. She voiced her thoughts. She is so beautiful. She admired Iris, but perhaps felt a tinge of insecurity in her presence. Roman nodded and said in a sincere tone, "Well, so are you." His words echoed through the air, a reminder to Daisy of her own worth and beauty. At this very moment, their unspoken connection and the complex tangle of emotions between them hung heavy in the air, setting the stage for a profound understanding and the potential for healing their relationship. Daisy's heart ached as she heard this. She was as beautiful to Roman as Iris. It turned out that in Roman's heart she held a special place because he had once admired Iris. He had carried that admiration for years now. Observing Daisy bow her head, Roman playfully prodded, "What's the matter? You're not usually the jealous type, are you?" Jealousy wasn't in Daisy's nature. There was no room for it. Roman had always kept his distance from other women, never allowing any emotional entanglements, not even with Caroline. But Iris was different, and Roman didn't seem to mind her coming close to him. Daisy couldn't help but feel uncomfortable at that thought. Roman gently lifted her chin and asked, "So, are you trying to distance yourself from me?" "No. Why would you say that?" Daisy stammered, struggling to find words. Despite being with Roman for so long, she still grappled with a sense of inadequacy, as if Iris held the rightful place in Roman's heart. Roman leaned in to kiss her, saying, "Silly, if you happen to cross paths with Iris again, just greet her warmly. She won't murder you. I've already clarified everything to her, so there's no need for you to worry." Blushing, Daisy fiddled with his collar and admitted softly, "I'm not jumping to conclusions, but I do feel somewhat indebted to Iris. After all, you didn't keep your promise." Roman seemed taken aback by her response, caught between laughter and exasperation. He playfully poked her forehead and said, "I've never seen you like this," feeling both jealous and grateful to her. "Is all of this very uncomfortable for you?" Nestling into his embrace, Daisy buried her face in his neck and murmured, "I don't know why I'm feeling this way, I just feel uneasy." Roman gently stroked her head, reassuring her, "Don't be scared, even in the future." He paused. "Even when you meet my parents, just don't have any guilt in your heart. I'll stand by you through everything, just remember that. Whatever challenges lie ahead, promise me you won't back down." "Okay." Daisy extended her arms to hold him, declaring, "For you, I'll be brave. We vowed to be together in this lifetime, and I won't let anyone come between us." "That's the spirit, my love." Roman leaned in to plant a tender kiss on her forehead. "Now, let's go. It's time to eat." As Iris steered the car toward the riverside, a canopy of maple trees enveloped her in a changing tapestry of emotions. In the summertime, those same trees had cradled her with their vibrant green leaves, casting a soothing shade that whispered of carefree days and joyous laughter. The gentle rustling of those leaves in the breeze had once been a comforting lullaby, a promise of simpler times. But today, with their branches reaching towards the gray sky, stripped bare of their foliage, those maple trees seemed to mirror the solemnity of her heart. The stark contrast between their present and their summer glory accentuated the change that had taken root within her. The light dusting of snow clinging to the branches was a poignant reminder of the passage of time, of the inevitable transition from warmth to cold, from life to dormancy. It echoed the chill that had settled in her own heart, a reflection of the distance that had grown between her and Roman. As Iris gazed at the tranquil water, she found herself lost in thought. Her emotions are entwined with the changing seasons of the maple trees. These trees, like her, had witnessed the highs and lows of life, the blossoming of love in the warmth of summer, and now, the stark reality of a relationship in winter's chill. The riverside, once a sanctuary of solace and shared laughter, now felt like a silent witness to the complexities of their love. She couldn't help but wonder if her relationship with Roman could weather the changing seasons and find renewal in the promise of spring. Iris was well aware of his love, as was everyone around them. He wore his affection for her openly, never concealing it, and she also acknowledged his love. The truth was, she didn't reciprocate his feelings, but she couldn't bring herself to deny it either. Her dependency on him had become ingrained since childhood. She had grown accustomed to his unwavering presence, to the ease of unloading her troubles onto him and taking advantage of his boundless affection. In a stark moment of honesty, she had even confessed her affection for Adam. She couldn't help but remember the sadness that had clouded Roman's eyes, yet she remained by Adam's side. She was undeniably selfish. Even if she couldn't love him in return, she found solace in the fact that someone loved her. The love she couldn't obtain from Adam, she extracted from Roman. She had truly believed that, no matter how far she ventured, all she had to do was turn around and Roman would be there waiting for her. But now, as she looked back, she was met with the bitter realization that he was no longer there. Iris let out a heavy sigh and retrieved a pack of cigarettes from the dark compartment of the car. A slender one found its place between her fingers, adding an alluring touch to her presence. She glanced at herself in the mirror and let out a soft, ironic laugh. No one had ever seen her like this. In their eyes, she was still the same good girl she had been before. But only she knew the profound transformation that had occurred within her. Hadn't Roman changed too? He had left her behind, falling in love with a maid, someone with an innocent and pitiable demeanor that could easily stir a man's protective instincts. She couldn't help but think of Daisy's startled expression, and it sent her into fits of laughter. Dealing with Daisy should now be well within her capabilities. Though she hadn't crossed paths with her yet, she harbored a strong belief that Victoria's concerns were unwarranted. How could Daisy possibly become an obstacle in her path? When Rachel had casually mentioned Daisy's name, she downplayed it, suggesting that Roman had simply kept Daisy around as a casual amusement. Yet, deep down, she knew that this was far from the truth. She understood Roman better than Rachel ever could. Roman wasn't the type to chase after multiple women. The fact that he now had someone by his side could only mean one thing, that she was no longer the one occupying his thoughts. Their reunion on the evening of the New Year's had confirmed her suspicions. She could see it in his eyes, the same eyes that had once been filled with love, now clouded with something different. When she had thrown herself into his arms expecting the same warmth, his hands had frozen in midair. It took him a while to respond gently, but by that time she was certain of one painful truth: Roman didn't love her anymore. His love had truly faded away. Almost instinctively, a sharp pang of jealousy coursed through her when she thought of Daisy. Who was this girl that had taken her place? The news of Roman's departure on the first day of the new year didn't surprise her. Later, Victoria summoned her into the room and told her all about Roman and Daisy. She ended the conversation with a heartfelt plea. "Iris, please bring Roman back. You're the only one in this world who can help him because he still carries you in his heart. I beg you to guide him to make the right choice for himself." It felt like a cherished toy had been snatched away from her, and she was unwilling to accept that. Of course, she intended to reclaim what was once hers. Even if Victoria hadn't pleaded with her, she would have aimed to win Roman back. After encountering Daisy, she realized that this endeavor might be simpler than she had imagined. Upon returning back to the farmhouse, an unusual sight awaited Iris as she found her brother, Finn, sitting in the hall with a cigarette in hand. She avoided him and headed upstairs, but Finn halted her with a request. "Come here. I need to talk to you." Iris reluctantly walked over and took a seat across from him, asking, "Brother, what's on your mind?" The corners of Finn's mouth curled up, a trace of mockery in his smile. "Have you thought this through? Are you really going to marry Roman?" "Yes," Iris affirmed. "Roman has waited for me for so many years. I doubt there's another man out there who loves me as much as he does. With him, I can find my happiness." "Happiness, my foot," Finn scoffed. "Does he still love you now?" "He is in love with Daisy." He retrieved a stack of photos from his pocket and tossed them in front of her. "Take a look." Iris looked at the photos and replied, "I'm aware. I just came from his house and met that maid. He's simply smitten with that girl. It won't last long." "Are you pining over a man who doesn't love you anymore?" Finn furrowed his brow, concerned. "Haven't you learned your lesson? Do you want to go through it all over again?" "Finn, it's not the same. Roman and I share a history. Moreover, the Spencer family is on my side. No matter how much Roman adores Daisy, he can't go against Uncle George and Aunt Vicky. Do you think he will upset Uncle George and risk his reputation? I don't care about his family. I only care about you." Finn sighed. "Iris, these past years have been so tough for you. I am just worried for you." "I know you do," Iris replied, resting her head on his shoulder. "The situation between you and Roman has grown tense because of me. But don't worry, I'm not the same Iris as before. I won't do anything foolish. I'm just going to give it a try. If it doesn't work out, then I will move on. Roman and I may simply not be destined to be together. If that's how you truly feel, then I won't stop you," Finn conceded, looking at the photos on the coffee table. "Just promise me you won't harm yourself." "Roman isn't the only good man in the world, Iris. I believe you'll find someone even better." Iris smiled, raising her head. "Then I'll accept my brother's blessing. I'll go rest upstairs. Let me know when dinner is ready." Finn nodded, but then added, "There's one more thing. This time I don't want you to have any contact with Adam." Iris's smile froze momentarily. "Finn, why are you bringing him up? I'm concerned you might become obsessed." "No." Iris stood up. "I'm not as foolish as you think. I'm tired, so I'm heading upstairs." Without waiting for Finn's response, she turned and ascended the stairs. Watching his sister's departure, Finn shook his head in resignation. Seeing Iris in that state all those years ago had nearly broken him. Fortunately, she had endured and survived and had finally come back to them. Now he only wished for Iris to lead a peaceful and contented life. Even if in this life she never encountered a good man, he would support her for the rest of her days. Iris closed the door of her room and leaned against it, feeling utterly drained. It had been 5 years, a sufficient span of time to heal a wound. Yet the mere mention of that name still pierced her heart like a thorn. Love was long lost, and all that remained was a seething hatred. She loathed Adam for what he had done, for nearly destroying her. They may never cross paths again in this lifetime, but her hatred would endure for sure. Downstairs, Rachel had an argument with her mother. She was eager to confront Daisy and cast her out of her brother's life. She wanted to send a clear message to Roman about their family's stance. She wanted to know who would Roman ultimately choose. Victoria, however, disagreed with her on it, as she believed it was wiser to avoid a direct clash with Roman. She understood her son's temperament more than anyone, He responded better to kindness than confrontation. Backing him into a corner would only result in losses for both sides. Roman's sudden departure on New Year's night had been a heavy blow for her, but it had also highlighted Daisy's significance in Roman's life. He was a man of deep emotions, and once he committed, he would never turn back, even if it cost him everything. He had been this way with Iris, and now he was the same with Daisy. Victoria's hope now rested on Iris. She hoped she would win Roman back. After all, Roman had loved Iris for over a decade. Such a long and tumultuous history couldn't be easily forgotten. Growing impatient, Rachel turned to her father George and said in a voice charged with emotion, "Dad, as the head of the family, you've got to assert some authority here. Roman will listen to you, and Daisy, well, I can handle her in a heartbeat. We'll work on this separately. What do you say?" George glanced at Rachel, concern evident in his eyes. "What's going on, honey? Let's hear your mother out. Don't get involved in this." "But Dad," Rachel persisted, "Iris finally came around, but then my brother changed his mind again. He made that 5-year agreement, but before it even started, he broke his promise. It's all his fault. What if Iris leaves again in anger? What will he do then? When he wakes up to the truth, it'll be too late to regret it," Victoria chimed in, trying to reassure Rachel. "Don't worry, I believe Iris will find a solution. If your father would have let me act more seriously on this, I would have separated them long ago. I can't believe it's come to this." Rachel's anger still simmered. "I just can't understand it. She's just a mere maid." "Is she really worth it?" George intervened, trying to calm the situation. "Okay, enough for now. Let your dad have some peace." Rachel hesitated, but finally gave up for now. On the 8th of January, John took the plunge into matrimony. The city's most notorious playboy tying the knot was news that sent shockwaves through the town. It drew a cavalcade of guests, not just celebrities and dignitaries from all walks of life, but also a swarm of media paparazzi eager to capture every moment. John, ever the lively soul, found it challenging to contain his excitement at the side of his stunning bride. Only he knew the trials and tribulations he had faced. And today was the day they were holding the reception for their friends and family. Well, mainly John's family. The hotel lobby was a sight to behold, filled with impeccably dressed nobles and elegantly poised beauties. Many of them were familiar faces from John's past escapades, bound by a camaraderie that easily swung between friendship and fleeting affairs. To them, it was a reunion, a gathering filled with music and dance. Yet their curiosity centered on the bride. Who was this woman capable of taming John, the city's ultimate charmer? Nina, who had planned John's engagement party before, took a back seat this time. She savored the moment and focused solely on her baby. Upon arriving at the lavish spectacle, she couldn't help but chide John for his extravagance. John smiled, enveloping her in his embrace. "Darling, this is just the beginning. You are my one true love, the woman of my life. I just want to give you the very best." Nina noticed the sea of red roses and life-sized wedding photos adorned with genuine golden amber frames, shaking her head. "It's so extra and, to be honest, tasteless," John replied earnestly. "Though my love can't be measured by money, I use it to display the depth of my feelings. From a pragmatic perspective, real money is the most amusing way to do it." Nina cast a glance at Cole, who was standing by the door, warmly welcoming the guests. She quipped, "Is all this jazz about the Smith family's reputation?" John retorted at her absurd assumption. "Absolutely not." "Do you think I'm the kind of guy who cares about appearances?" My brother initially suggested we stand at the door to greet guests. Tradition and protocol, you know. As for me, I couldn't care less. Can you imagine me enduring that? I told him to handle it on his own. Nina chuckled. "Well, I may have offended your brother as I passed by the door without greeting him." John held her hand and comforted her. "Don't fuss about it. He knows better than to tire you out. Mom said that you only need to be on the stage for a while. Don't worry about the rest and let my brother take care of it. All right, go on and meet your friends. Nina dismissed him. If someone didn't know better, they'd think your brother was the one getting married today, John playfully retorted. Oh, that's just nonsense. He tried to give her a stern look, but couldn't keep it up. Spotting Sarah approaching, he quickly excused himself. Okay, your friends are also here. I'll make myself scarce before she eats my head. With that, he turned and walked in the opposite direction. Nina couldn't help but stifle a laugh. Sarah looked puzzled as she observed John running away from her. Why did your husband leave as soon as he saw me? Nina flashed a mischievous grin and clarified, You didn't do anything but with me around. He knows he'll be the target of your teasing. So I decided to spare him and not witness the spectacle. How can I bully him? Me, just a little secretary, bullying Spencer's general manager? Are you kidding me? All right, let's not play nice, Nina said, closing the door and gesturing towards the sofa. Is the president here? Sarah checked the time and replied, Probably not yet. I heard the boss's entire family is here today. Will Daisy be joining too? Sarah thought for a moment, then shook her head. Probably not. The boss doesn't want Daisy to meet his parents. She's shy and he's afraid of scaring her away. The president is really sweet to Daisy. And what about John? Sarah quipped. Your wedding extravaganza will blind a few people. All right, I know, Nina responded with a sigh. Sarah burst into laughter. You're really good at being cheeky. Today is your day. You own it. You should enjoy everything to your heart's content. It was the day of the wedding with everything planned perfectly. Guests were enjoying the party, praising the arrangements. As it happened, both the Spencers and the Andersons arrived almost simultaneously. As they stepped out of their cars, the two families who had been close acquaintances for so long greeted each other. Iris exchanged greetings with the elder Spencers and then strolled alongside Roman, asking, Didn't you bring Daisy with you? Roman glanced at his parents and shook his head. It's better for her not to attend such an event. Scared of overwhelming her? Iris said with a playful smile. You're protecting her so much. I'm almost envious. You never treated me like that before. You're not afraid of these sorts of events. They are a part of your lifestyle. Roman's lips curved slightly and his smile widened when he thought of Daisy. But Daisy, she's shy and definitely not used to such a life. All in all, it's better to treat her well, Iris pouted. Why does my heart still ache then? Iris's tone was half joking, but it made Roman fall silent. He had always felt bad for breaking her heart. She had returned as promised, but he had already moved on. As they walked together, Iris couldn't help but feel a pang of envy when Roman spoke of his care for Daisy. It was a stark reminder of the place Daisy held in Roman's heart, a place Iris had once occupied. Her playful complaints hid deeper emotions, a longing for the closeness they once shared. Suddenly, Iris grabbed his arm, startling Roman. Just as he was about to speak, Iris clung to his arm and whispered, Adam is here. The presence of Adam, her past love, at the same event sent tremors through her. Her heart raced as she watched him, her pale face betraying her inner turmoil. Iris's emotions were a complex interplay of nostalgia for the time she and Roman had spent together and the haunting specter of her past relationship with Adam. She leaned on Roman for some kind of emotional reassurance. His presence was her anchor in the sea of emotions that threatened to engulf her, offering a sense of protection and comfort in the face of an uncertain reunion with her past. Roman looked up, and indeed, Adam was getting out of his car about 10 meters ahead, accompanied by Tony. Adam entered the hotel while conversing with Tony, seemingly unaware of their presence. Roman looked back at Iris and noticed how pale she had gotten. Over the past decade, he had become accustomed to looking after her. Seeing her like this, he wrapped his arm around her and asked, What's wrong? You don't look well. Are you okay? Iris shook her head. Roman, can you stay with me inside? I'm not ready for this. I understand, Roman reassured her. Don't worry, I am here for as long as you need, and Adam won't do anything to you. Thanks, Roman, Iris said, her voice tinged with surprise. I never expected him to show up. Since when did he and John become friends? Yeah, Spencer and Miller are collaborating now, so John extended an invitation, Roman replied. Iris nodded, following Roman to the hotel. Cole, who was welcoming Smith's relatives at the entrance, spotted Roman and Iris arriving together. His eyebrows lifted in momentary surprise, but he quickly broke into a warm smile as he approached them. Iris, it's been a few years, he said with a friendly grin. You haven't changed a bit, still as beautiful as ever. Iris smiled lightly. Really? I think you look younger than before. Cole chuckled heartily. Iris, you've always been a talker. He laughed again, feigning surprise. Oops, my bad. I should have said you're even more beautiful and fun than before. Iris playfully squeezed Roman's arm and giggled. Look at him figuring it out in an instant. The trio continued chatting and laughing. Suddenly, John emerged from the entrance, casting a surprised glance at Iris. He approached her, examining her with interest. I heard from Finn that you've returned, but this is the first time I am seeing you. A few years abroad did you some good, I see. Iris looked at Cole and teased him. Take notes from John if you want to impress the ladies. He's a natural charmer, Cole chimed in, looking at his brother. I can't compete with that. To avoid any potential awkwardness on his big day, John quickly ushered Roman and Iris inside. He turned to Cole and said, I'll take them to their seats. Iris couldn't help but laugh and remarked, After all these years, you're still scared of Cole? Even Roman joined in. Without your brother's constant advice, who knows where you'd be? He's a great mentor. Iris then inquired, Where's the bride? She scanned the room with curiosity, knowing John's history with commitment. In her eyes, some men, including John and Tony, weren't exactly cut out for marriage. She's in the lounge and she won't come out until the party officially starts, John explained, appearing both exasperated and amused. I can't control her. She's a handful, Iris teased. You're making me jealous again. She must be so happy with you. John agreed with a smile. Of course, her happiness is my priority. He glanced at Roman and Iris with a knowing look, and I hope you two are happy too. Iris didn't miss a beat. Absolutely, we will be. Iris held on to Roman's arm, radiating happiness. Their conversation caught the attention of others in the room, mostly acquaintances of their families. The two of the ladies approached them, eager to greet Iris. Welcome back, Iris. It's been ages, one of them exclaimed. And judging by the looks of it, things are progressing with Roman, aren't they? Roman had a long-standing aversion to engaging with such a crowd, and he simply maintained a polite but distant demeanor. Iris, on the other hand, saw no need for explanations and offered a smile. As Iris observed the crowd surrounding her mother and Victoria, she leaned toward Roman and whispered, Aren't you going to clarify things? Roman shrugged nonchalantly. Why bother explaining to them? He didn't let these matters affect him, trusting that Victoria already understood what he wanted, and there was no need to justify himself to outsiders. Tony and Adam stood by the wall, their laughter fading as distant mirth reached their ears. Turning their heads, they were met with the sight of Roman, and Tony couldn't help but be shocked at what was in front of him. Hey, look, Iris is back! Adam's indifference remained unshaken. In a flat tone, he uttered, I can see that she is back. It doesn't matter to me. What do you want me to do? Tony halted his eloquence, sensing the ice in Adam's gaze. However, he couldn't resist muttering, Why is Roman with her again? Where's Daisy? Could it be that when on Iris's return, he pushed Daisy aside? No, Roman isn't like that, right? Adam snorted. What do you think he's like? He may appear cold, but he's not heartless, at least not to her. Tony flicked his cigarette ash.
This whole mess is getting interesting. With Iris's return, I think they'll embrace all this acting like a perfect couple act and bask in everyone's approval. Adam stayed silent, taking one last drag of his cigarette before stubbing it out, his face a mask of unreadable emotions. Tony suggested, "Let's go say hello to them. We're old acquaintances, after all." Adam glared. "You want to meet them as if we are long-lost friends of hers? You know I can't stand that woman." Tony smiled. "It's all in the past."
Let go of that pent-up hate. Who knows, maybe she has changed. As if she is capable of that, Adam sneered. I'm not interested in putting on any show for them. Tony walked over with his arms open wide and called out, "Iris, I almost didn't see you there. When did you come back?" Iris let go of Roman's arm and approached Tony warmly. "Tony, it's been so long." John chimed in, wide-eyed. "Since when did you two become best friends?" "I want a hug, too." Tony playfully scolded, "Mind your image." "Nina's watching from behind that door. Do you want to upset your pregnant wife like that?" Laughter erupted, but inside the lounge, Nina overheard all the commotion and asked Sarah to see what was going on. Sarah peeked outside, then gasped and hurriedly closed the door, her face reflecting a mixture of shock and curiosity. Nina inquired anxiously, "What's going on? Did John do something?" Sarah, who was still in shock, explained, "It's not John, but Roman." "Roman? What's happening with him?" Sarah sat down. I saw a girl holding his arm, and she looks just like Iris. "Really?" Nina was surprised. Although neither of them had met Iris, they'd seen her photos. Concern mixed with curiosity in her eyes as she peeked through the door's crack and saw the girl tightly holding Roman's arm. Except for Daisy, she hadn't seen any woman so close to Roman. Could he be leaving Daisy for his first love? She gazed at Sarah with disbelief, her emotions a swirl of worry and confusion. After a moment, Nina sighed. Daisy is in such a tough spot. Sarah, still confident in Roman, said, "It might not be what we think. Roman adores Daisy. He won't let her go." Nina shook her head. "People in this city dream of Cinderella stories every day, but dreams are just that, dreams. It's okay if Roman likes Daisy, but the one with the crystal slipper is Iris." Sarah chuckled. "Aren't you a Cinderella who married into old money?" Nina laughed. "I'm a mother more than anything now. Without this child, John and I might have had a tough time. His mother is all about this grandchild. She won't even let me stand at the door, worried that it'll tire me or the baby. John's mother was ecstatic to have a chubby grandson," Sarah remarked. "You're living a happy life." "Don't worry, I found someone for myself. I'll find someone for you, too," Nina promised, taking Sarah's hand. "All right, I'm leaving my happiness in your hands," Sarah said with a smile. Sarah couldn't help but frown as she observed the unfolding drama. Daisy, in Sarah's eyes, seemed like a resilient soul who had weathered life's storms with grace. She had endured so much, and it was evident that she deeply cared for Roman. Sarah couldn't help but sympathize with Daisy's predicament. She understood the desire for stability and love that Daisy longed for. The reappearance of Iris had thrown a wrench into the works, introducing doubt and uncertainty into a relationship that Daisy had fought so hard to build. Most of the familiar faces who were attending the party recognized Nina, and their shock was palpable when they realized she was the girl that John Smith had chosen for himself. Speculations stirred, and all eyes turned towards her. The atmosphere grew complex as hushed conversations filled the air, creating a momentary buzz. The murmurs weren't loud, but Nina couldn't help but catch snippets of their discussions. "No wonder it was so sudden," someone said. "Isn't it? Turns out they've been keeping it under wraps for quite a while. Nobody ever noticed them," another replied. "Nina's quite cunning. John used to spend so much time away, and she not only turned a blind eye to it, but also had arranged things herself. Remember that candlelit dinner John once mentioned? She had planned it. She even ordered flowers for me once. all because she can keep her cool. Her trials have finally come to an end. But let's see what the future holds. Almost everyone had some comment to add to the matter. Nina couldn't help but smile at their comments. After all, it was her wedding reception and she felt a surge of excitement. Her eyes glistened as she gazed at the man on the stage who was looking at her with affection. Her dreams were becoming a reality, something she hardly dared to expect but had always longed for. In a city where people dreamt of Cinderella stories daily, only hers had come true by marrying the wealthy heir of the town and, most importantly, the man she loved from all her heart. Every second she spent gazing at him, it seemed like they couldn't wait to be together forever, defying time itself. When she reached him, John remained entranced by his bride, momentarily forgetting his role. Luckily, Nina broke his trance and took the initiative to hold his hand. This little gesture elicited laughter from the audience once more. As Nina wanted to keep things simple, the party was a simple affair. They personally received everyone's well wishes and thanked them for being there. While all of this was going on, Sarah couldn't help but be moved to tears witnessing Nina's happiness. Tony came to her out of the blue when he noticed her tears and held her hand. Sarah gently squeezed his hand, her tone tinged with irritation. "Stop that! I already hate it." Tony didn't let go and cautioned her, "There are people watching here. Don't create a scene. We're a couple for today. Keep that in mind." Sarah put up a protest and did not heed his words. "You're just like John, wanting to pair up with everyone. John's turned over a new leaf, so why can't I become a changed man?" Tony teased, narrowing his eyes. "Don't judge people by their past." "You have no idea what kind of a person I am. Don't drag me into this. Let me just leave and enjoy your time as well." Sarah attempted to shake his hand again, but realized they were still among everyone, so she pulled Tony aside in a corner instead. Once they were at a distance from the crowd, Tony pulled her aside and asked in a grave tone, "I've got a question for you." Sarah, who was growing increasingly annoyed by the situation, sighed. "What is it? I'm starving." He looked her in the eyes and asked firmly, "Is your boss dating Iris now? Is he done being with Daisy now that she has come back?" Sarah was already troubled by this matter, and Tony's question only increased her irritation. She tried to rein in her frustration and asked, "Who said that?" "Our boss isn't that kind of person. Stop coming up with crazy theories in your head about matters that are none of your business." "Then what's going on with your boss?" Tony inquired further. "Is he planning to keep them both?" Sarah shot him a glance and questioned with a straight face, "Why are you so invested in this?" "As I said, it is none of your business. I never knew you were this gossipy." Seeing Sarah was on the verge of exploding, Tony quickly raised his hands in surrender. "All right, no need to get angry. Let's just pretend I never asked you anything. Deal?" Sarah let out a huff, then turned and walked away. She had only taken a few steps when she noticed Victoria waving at her. "Secretary Sarah, come sit here. I've saved you a seat." With a polite smile, Sarah hurried over to her boss's mother and said, "Thank you, ma'am. It's lovely to meet you." "No need for thanks. Just take a seat." "You must be tired," Victoria replied with a warm smile before turning her attention back to George. "We don't need to worry about Roman. He and Iris seem to be getting along just fine." Upon hearing this, Sarah casually glanced in the direction Victoria indicated. Roman and Iris were engrossed in conversation with their heads bent low. A sudden unease washed over her, as if she had stumbled upon something she shouldn't have witnessed, and that left her in a state of disarray. The Smith family had graciously welcomed the media's presence for the grand wedding reception of their heir. Consequently, the front page of the newspaper the next day was flooded with photographs of that event. The exquisite photos and an extensive article about the wedding became a hot topic among the city's rich and famous. Moreover, the fact that the bride hailed from a humble background and worked as a secretary gave way to some juicy chatter. Her ascent to marrying the handsome and wealthy John had become an inspirational tale for many Cinderellas. Not only was the main couple the center of attention at this grand affair, but even the high-profile guests couldn't escape the spotlight. The paparazzi clique also featured Roman, Adam, Tony, Finn, and others as well. Yet, what piqued the media's curiosity the most was the typically low-key Roman, who had brought a stunning companion with him this time. In the pictures, the two seemed quite close, making them a hot topic for speculations. Iris was already a prominent socialite in the city, and with the help of some well-meaning informants, reporters printed the gossip to create a sensation around their relationship. They intentionally included the news that Roman and his first love were present, despite the long-standing rumors in the market that the president of the Spencer family had been saving himself for his first love for over a decade, guarding her like a precious gem. This was why Roman had become the preferred choice for many young women in the city. Such enduring nobility was a rare find. The way they had published the entire piece, it seemed like Roman's love had endured all the waiting, and the lovers had finally been united by destiny. John's grand wedding had left many heartbroken admirers, and Roman's romantic reunion had stirred even more emotions among the girls. When the newspapers hit the stands, nearly everyone in the city learned that Roman had waited for his first love for years and had finally found his happiness. However, Daisy remained oblivious to all of this. She wasn't in the habit of reading newspapers, and she didn't spend much time surfing the internet for gossip. So, while rumors swirled outside, she remained blissfully unaware. The first person to call her when the news hit the market was none other than Ethan. As soon as Daisy picked up his call, he asked her in a concerned voice, "Daisy, are you okay?" Daisy was puzzled and replied, "I'm fine, Ethan. What's going on?" "You sound a bit troubled." Ethan realized that Daisy was still in the dark about recent events, so he decided not to push it for now. He kept the information to himself and said in a collected tone, "Nothing's wrong. I just haven't spoken to you in a while. I wanted to check in and see how you're doing, with college and stuff." Daisy was feeling a bit bored and was open to chatting, so she said, "I'm doing well. How about you? Are you getting along with Roman?" Roman had kept his promise the last time and let Ethan go, but Ethan had instead refused to leave. He had started working at Roman's company as a trade analyst while looking for a good law school to enroll in. Ethan had taken an interest in trade and found his natural ability to be good at it. Ethan replied, "I'm doing fine too. Roman has been kind to me. He even suggested that I should work part-time while continuing the law school. I've found a college that is up to my mark, and hopefully I will start soon." Daisy was genuinely happy for him. "With your grades and talent, I am sure law school will be a cakewalk for you. I am glad you chose to continue your education. It will open plenty of job opportunities for you in the future." "I definitely want to go to college, and I plan to work at Roman's company after I graduate," Ethan shared. "Roman has been good to me this whole time, and I think that I misunderstood him before. I've always said he's a good man," Daisy responded cheerfully. "If you work hard for him, you'll have a bright future. He is a good boss, too." "Daisy?" Ethan hesitated for a moment and then asked cautiously, "You and Roman, are you two doing well?" Daisy's mind was straightforward and she didn't read between the lines. "We're doing just fine. Why are you asking that out of the blue?" Ethan fell silent on the other end of the phone and eventually said, "That's good. I am glad that you both are happy. Anyway, I think I'm going to go now. I'll call you later." Daisy was about to hang up, but Ethan stopped her. Before ending the call, he added, "Daisy, if you ever need anything, you can tell me. I will always be there to help you." After a brief pause, as if realizing the way his words might have come across, he hurriedly explained his intentions. "Don't overthink what I just said. I just feel that you've helped me so much, and if there's anything I can do for you in the future, don't hesitate to ask." Daisy was touched by his words. He was a true friend of hers, someone who would come to her aid whenever she was in need. It suddenly dawned upon her that she now had friends in her life. Sarah, Nina, Ethan, and Lila were all her true friends. They were people who genuinely cared for her. After Lila had discovered her situation, she didn't look down on her. Instead, she treated her with so much compassion. She often called to chat and even brought her food from the supermarket. Sarah no longer visited only when Roman instructed her to. She always invited her to join gatherings at Nina's place. When she was with them, she could easily find reasons to laugh. Everyone treated her so kindly, but of course, Roman was the one who was the hero of her story. Thinking of him, Daisy couldn't help but smile. She picked up her phone and called him again. The phone rang for a while, but there was no answer. Daisy assumed he was probably at work and didn't want to disturb him. Just as she was about to hang up, someone picked up on the other end. A sweet voice belonging to a girl said, "Hello, who are you looking for?" Daisy heard a voice on the line, but it wasn't Sarah's. Her heart skipped a beat and she finally asked, "Is Roman there?" The girl on the other end chuckled. "You're Daisy, right? Roman's in a meeting and left his phone in the office. If it's urgent, I can bring it to the meeting room." "No, it's nothing urgent." Daisy hesitated and then asked, "Who's this?" "I'm Iris. We've met before." Daisy felt a sudden rush of panic. "Iris, sorry, I didn't recognize you. I will call him later. Bye." Daisy hung up the call and tried to calm her racing heart, wondering why Iris was in Roman's office. Normally, Sarah wouldn't let anyone in there. She then realized that Roman had allowed Iris in his office just like he did to Daisy. Daisy shook her head, telling herself to stop overthinking. She couldn't doubt Roman, not now at least when he had made his choice clear to her. In Daisy's mind, it felt like a battle giving rise to pure chaos. Not having anyone around to talk to, her thoughts were in complete disarray. She tried to go to bed and sleep on her anxiety-ridden mind that made her life miserable. Here in Roman's office, the scene was not that different from the one that Daisy was experiencing. Iris was proving herself to not just be Daisy's headache, but Sarah's as well. Normally, Roman's office was off-limits, but then this morning, Iris had walked in with her sickening smile and made her way to his office as if she owned the place. The worst part was that Sarah couldn't even bring herself to stop Iris, and that made her look like a lousy secretary. Sarah decided to face this trouble of a woman and try to make her leave as soon as possible. She put on a professional smile and entered Roman's chamber with a coffee and informed her about Roman's ongoing meeting. But Iris, seemingly unfazed by Roman's absence, sat on his executive chair and presented a gentle smile. "No worries, I'll wait for him. You must have some work to handle, so don't bother entertaining me." The pending work was not the thing that concerned Sarah, but the fact that Iris posed a formidable challenge to Daisy did flare up her anxiety a bit. She was the one who could potentially put Daisy in a difficult position. But at this moment, she was helpless and decided to put on a polite smile and leave her to her own devices. At John's party yesterday, everyone had witnessed Roman and her as a couple. If Iris truly was going to be the boss's future wife, Sarah couldn't risk antagonizing her. Sarah found herself more confused than ever. Caroline, at least, exercised some restraint, limiting her efforts to undermining Daisy behind Roman's back. But not Iris. She had the guts to openly stick to Roman without bothering about Daisy or anyone else. She had witnessed Roman and Daisy's relationship bloom in front of her own eyes, fervently hoping that it would thrive. She had invested so much effort in supporting them. She had believed that Daisy had conquered her toughest trials after the Caroline incident, but it looked like the true challenge was in front of her right now, in the form of Iris. Before she could untangle the web of confusion, Iris left on her own and stated, "Today is his first day back at work, and he's probably swamped. I won't wait for him. Just let him know that I dropped by." Iris offered her a genuine smile and said, "I know Roman isn't an easy man to deal with. It must have been quite a journey staying with him for so long. I hope you keep up your hard work in the future." I will, Sarah sighed, sinking into her chair as she watched Iris leave the building and muttered to herself. Things are getting more and more chaotic. Caroline had just left, and here came Iris. Daisy always seemed to be entangled with girls in his life. Suddenly, Roman entered his cabin and inquired, "Did someone come looking for me?" "Yes," Sarah responded promptly. "Miss Anderson was here, but she left after waiting for you." Roman furrowed his brows and said, "Did she say anything?" Sarah shook her head. "No, she said she would come some other time." Roman nodded, but then asked again, "What did you just say about the world being in chaos?" Sarah was taken aback. The boss had heard her whisper? She hastily shook her head. "No, I was talking about World War. There have been some World War II documentaries on TV lately." Roman gave her a look, but didn't press further, heading straight into his office. Sarah couldn't shake off her thoughts about Iris's morning visit. Seeing that Roman wouldn't be heading home due to afternoon commitments, she decided to call Daisy and invite her out for lunch. Even though Daisy agreed to the meetup, Sarah couldn't help but notice her friend's melancholic demeanor as soon as they met. In jest, Sarah remarked, "Daisy, what did you and the boss do last night? You look like you two didn't get much sleep." Daisy took her words at face value and replied earnestly, "Nothing. We were just sleeping." Sarah burst into laughter at her innocent reply, but deep down she couldn't help but sigh. How could such a simple girl contend with Iris? From Sarah's perspective, Roman seemed reluctant to let go of Iris, but was also unwilling to break up with Daisy. Did he want both of them? The crucial factor now was Roman's stance. If he didn't make a clear decision, Daisy would be left defeated with no hope. Sarah then asked Daisy, "Does the boss know you're dining with me?" "He does." "I called him," Daisy replied. "He reminded me to pick up the tab and said that if I eat with you, I should foot the bill." Sarah chuckled. "What will I do with such generosity?" Daisy joined in the laughter, but her smile seemed forced. After some time, Daisy thought of giving Roman a call. She had expected him to bring up the topic of Iris himself, especially since she had called him earlier. However, Roman didn't even mention it once. His tone remained casual, but Daisy couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. Sarah could tell that Daisy was in a somber mood, so she decided not to directly ask what was bothering her. Instead, she started, "I had some encouragement at work today. I received some praise for my efforts when I got to work." Daisy inquired, "Who was the one who noticed your great work?" "Of course, the first one was from the boss, but the second one," Sarah said with a playful tone, "you won't be able to guess because you don't know her." Daisy looked at her and it suddenly clicked. "Was it Iris?" Sarah, knowing that Daisy was aware of Iris, nodded. "Yes, she was the one. She came to the company this morning and we had a chat." Daisy hesitated briefly, but still asked, "Was she looking for Roman?" Well, it seemed like something was definitely going on. The boss returned from his meeting midway, but Iris had already left by that time. Sarah made it quite clear, trying to convey that Roman and Iris hadn't met face to face. However, what Daisy focused on was the fact that Iris had come to meet him in his office. What could that mean? She thought that they had already made their situation clear. Why hadn't Roman mentioned anything to her? Daisy was easy to read, and all her emotions were displayed on her face. Sarah felt the need to help her out of this conundrum, so she asked, "Daisy, do you know who Iris is?" Daisy nodded honestly. "I do. Roman used to be in love with her for years." Sarah probed further. "So, what's their current relationship situation?" Daisy looked at her and said, "Roman made it clear to Iris that they have nothing to do with each other now." Sarah couldn't help but feel a bit critical of Roman. The way they were at yesterday's party, who would believe that Roman and Iris had nothing going on between them? Iris had clung to his arm throughout the event. Except for Daisy, Sarah had never seen the boss let any other woman hold his arm. Letting Iris do so had sent a clear message. Since the boss made it clear, it's totally fine then. He won't lie to you, Sarah reassured Daisy earnestly. However, Daisy, I think Iris still has some feelings for him. You need to be cautious and remember what I taught you last time. You have to be vigilant when it comes to your man. Iris is in the past for the boss, and you're his present. Don't be afraid of her. He loves you now. Just like when you dealt with Caroline, you need to be more proactive and show her and everyone else that the boss is yours. Daisy nodded, but her head was still clouded. Roman had always been distant with Caroline, but he was very different with Iris. Come back to the company with me after we get done with our food, Sarah suggested. The boss will be happy to see you. Resting her chin on her hand, Daisy blinked her eyes. It's his first day back at work. He must be very busy, right? Won't I be bothering him? No matter how busy he is, he would want you by his side. Plus, you're very quiet. You won't disturb him, Sarah assured her. After some consideration, Daisy agreed. To be honest, even Daisy was eager to see him. Roman was indeed surprised to see Daisy at the office. What are you doing here? Daisy glanced at the door and murmured, I came with Sarah since we were done with lunch. Roman had a tiring day. It was the first workday of the new year, and with John on his honeymoon, he had to personally handle many tasks. The morning meeting alone had consumed a lot of his energy, and he still had a busy afternoon ahead. While he was genuinely happy to see Daisy, he still looked fatigued. Seeing her timid demeanor, he grew a bit impatient. After all this time together, he expected her to speak up if she had something on her mind, but Daisy never seemed to learn. So, he took the initiative and said, How many times have I told you to speak out if you have something going on in your head? What are you scared of? Roman then waved his hand. Go to Sarah's place. I have things to attend to. Daisy forced a smile as her eyes started to tear up and silently left the room. When she came out, Sarah was puzzled seeing her teary eyes and forlorn expression. She swiftly pulled her into a chair and inquired in a hushed tone, What happened? Did you have an argument with the boss? Daisy bit her lip, trying to resist her tears, and replied, He didn't seem to like having me around. Sarah found it hard to believe. Could it be that with Iris's return, the boss had changed? No, he's just a little busy. John isn't here, so he has to handle many things in person. It's fine. You can hang out with me. Daisy shook her head. No, I'll head back now. You should also get back to your work. Daisy, if there's any blame for this, it's on me. I should have thought it through better. Don't be sad about it. Sarah felt a tinge of guilt. She had come up with the idea, but she hadn't expected this to happen. It's not your fault. I wanted to come, Daisy assured her with a smile. If he asks, just tell him I went back home. Not long after Daisy had left, Roman came out of his office looking for her. Not finding Daisy there, he inquired. Where's Daisy? Sarah said. Daisy asked me to let you know that she went back. When did she leave? She just left, so she should be downstairs. Sarah met his gaze, hoping to read her boss's reaction. Indeed, Roman hurried outside upon hearing this. Sarah rolled her eyes and swiftly made her way to Roman's office, which had a window overlooking the street. Roman reached the building's entrance just in time to spot Daisy about to step into a cab. He dashed over and grabbed her, asking, What's wrong? Daisy had held back her tears until she exited the gate. Surprisingly, Roman had followed her. In her panic and confusion, she lowered her head, not wanting him to see her face. Roman sensed something was amiss and gently lifted her chin to meet her gaze. Daisy resisted, trying to avoid his gaze. While the two of them were busy with each other, the taxi driver hollered, What's going on? Are you getting in or not? I'm sorry, we won't be taking the cab, Roman said, embracing Daisy with one arm and closing the cab door with the other. The driver rolled his eyes and drove off. As the cab left, Daisy felt a mix of anger and frustration, but she didn't say a word. She attempted to break free from Roman's hold, wanting to get out. However, Roman clung to her even tighter and coaxed her gently. "Daisy, don't be angry. It's my fault. I shouldn't have said those things to you. Please don't be mad at me, all right?" During work hours, the area in front of the office building was bustling with people. Roman, tall and commanding, was immediately recognized by everyone. Moreover, he had dashed out in a hurry, wearing only a thin knitted sweater in the chilly weather with a struggling young woman in his arms. It was hard not to attract attention. But the morning paper had Roman linked to the Anderson heiress. Was Roman causing street drama? Roman clung to Daisy, making her emotions burst forth. Tears flowed as she struggled to break free. Ignoring the crowd's gaze, Roman cradled Daisy. His whispers and gentle kisses spoke volumes. It shocked the onlookers as they saw the once distant Roman oozing tenderness. Roman comforted her for a while, and Daisy finally calmed down. Tearfully, she asked Roman, "Why are you dressed so lightly?" Roman wiped the tears from her face, a little dumbfounded. "Was this really the time to ask about that?" He replied, "I chased you out and forgot to grab my jacket. Let's go back. I'm freezing right now." Daisy glanced around and saw people staring at them. She became flustered and didn't dare to move. She lowered her head, clutching Roman's clothes tightly. As soon as Roman raised his eyes, they swept across a large area, making onlookers feel as though his gaze were like ice-cold blades slicing through them. It was enough to make them disperse quickly. Witnessing Roman hugging Daisy publicly from the upstairs window, Sarah took a breath of relief, satisfied with the outcome. She was now sure that her boss was indeed a kind person, not willing to discard a new love just because of an old one. As they returned upstairs, Sarah swiftly brought in coffee for them, given the chilly weather outside. Daisy was concerned that Roman might catch a cold, so she brought the cup to him. "Have some coffee, it will warm you up." "Don't worry, I'm not cold anymore," Roman replied. He set the coffee aside and pulled her onto his lap. "Aren't you angry with me?" "No, I am not." "Should I be?" Daisy playfully retorted, even though she was feeling a little embarrassed for crying in front of him earlier. She sat with her head lowered and fidgeted with her fingers. Roman held her face and said, "If you are not pissed at me, then give me a smile. Then I will believe your words." Daisy was exasperated by his insistence, so she reluctantly curved the corners of her mouth into a smile. But Roman still wasn't satisfied, so he reached out to tickle her. The girl giggled at that while trying to evade him. Without waiting for her to catch her breath, Roman pressed the back of her head and kissed her. This kiss was commanding and passionate, making all of Daisy's grievances vanish. She eagerly embraced his neck, responding affectionately to his kiss. Sarah, hearing the laughter and playful voices from outside, felt happy for them. However, the atmosphere suddenly grew quiet again. Suspicion gnawed at her, and she tiptoed over quietly to peek through the crack in the door. She covered her mouth when she saw what was going on inside and then returned to her seat. As long as the boss continued to treat Daisy as before, she had nothing to worry about. Every year on the 10th day of January, the Committee of Commerce held a grand ball. It was a prime opportunity for business leaders to engage in early-year networking and discussions. Roman had asked Daisy to accompany him, but she had declined his invitation. The memory of the last ball on her birthday had left a lingering shadow in her heart, and she couldn't shake off her fear of such events. No matter how much Roman tried to persuade her, she remained resolute in her decision. In the end, Roman had no choice but to attend the ball by himself. Sarah tentatively brought up the idea of inviting Iris as his companion, but Roman firmly shook his head. After the attention drawn by Iris's presence at John's party, he didn't want to deepen any misunderstandings. He wouldn't take any other woman to the ball with him, not even Iris. Seeing Roman arrive alone at the gala, some of his acquaintances playfully teased him. "Hey, Mr. Roman, why are you flying solo? Where's Miss Iris tonight?" Roman smiled slightly. How would I know where Iris is? I didn't get what you were trying to say, Mr. Idris. Idris laughed heartily and pointed at Roman as he spoke to the people around him. See, I told you he'd deny it, Roman responded. I don't think there's anything to admit to. Idris Black was the CEO of BlackRock Corporation, and his company had a long-standing partnership with the Spencers Group. His company had greatly benefited from this partnership. Idris had known Roman for quite some time and took some liberties with him. He spoke up. Whether there is something to confess or not, I think it should be decided by Iris. She should have the final say. Idris looked towards the entrance and said, And here she comes. Roman glanced in the direction Idris indicated and indeed spotted Iris. She was accompanied by Finn, who had a beautiful woman on his arm. When Iris spotted Roman there, she waved from a distance and greeted him with a smile. Roman returned the smile and nodded in acknowledgement. Idris, seeing this, commented, Everyone's here, don't you think so? Though everyone remained silent, his smile held a hidden meaning. Roman, however, didn't want to offer any further explanations. He never had the habit of discussing his personal affairs with outsiders. Approaching Roman, Iris smiled as she spoke. I thought of asking you to pick me up, but my brother insisted that I come with him. Well, he saved you the trouble. Idris chuckled at the scene and said, So that's why you didn't come with him. We were just asking Roman about you a moment ago. Iris raised an eyebrow and replied, Why were you asking about me, Mr. Idris? Just making casual conversation, Iris. Don't take it too seriously. We were just curious when we saw Roman come in alone, Mr. Idris replied, glancing at Iris and then at Roman. Iris took Roman's arm and continued, Roman, Mr. Idris loves to talk nonsense. Just ignore him. Let's go over there. She playfully nudged him, suggesting they move away. Roman looked at her helplessly and told Iris, It's not a big deal, but your actions made him suspicious of us. Iris pouted playfully, saying, Roman, you're being ungrateful. I was just trying to help you and you're blaming me. Roman spoke in a casual tone, but seeing her expression, he decided to explain. I didn't mean it that way. All right, you go enjoy yourself. I'll go meet some people. What? You're going to abandon me after I save you? Iris clung to his arm and added teasingly, Fine. You can go, but promise me you'll dance with me later. In a crowd like this, Roman couldn't stay with her for too long, so he gave in to her demand. All right, I'll dance with you later. Iris didn't let go of his arm. Instead, she turned to face him. Roman noticed her change in expression and followed her gaze to the door, where Adam had arrived with June. Roman recognized her immediately as she was Jaden's sister. Jaden's company had a partnership with Miller's, so all of them were familiar with each other. He guided Iris to a nearby sofa and calmly made her understand. You can't keep avoiding him like this, he said. I told you last time to show a bit of courage. Are you a coward? Iris hesitated for a moment and then responded, No, quickly interrupting Roman before he could finish. I just don't want to see him. Roman couldn't quite comprehend why Iris was so fearful of encountering Adam. After all, 5 years should have been sufficient to heal most wounds, and Iris was not a weak person. He wondered why she felt so disoriented whenever she saw him. After thinking for a moment, Roman suggested, Take a seat. I'll go and get you a drink. Thank you so much for being so supportive, Roman. Iris softly expressed her gratitude. In Roman's mind, Iris was strong-headed and bold, so seeing her in this vulnerable state stirred a sense of compassion within him. He patted her shoulder gently, then headed to the bar to get a drink for her. Due to his good fortune, Adam received a warm welcome from everyone as soon as he entered the door. People approached him, eager to make his acquaintance and establish connections. However, Adam was not known for being easy to get along with. Those who didn't know him well didn't even bother to offer a smile, but fortunately, most were aware of his disposition. Even if he wore a cold expression, people didn't take any offense. In reality, these concerns were unnecessary. Adam didn't pay much attention to whether people greeted him or not. He might not even remember who was who after a brief chat. His gaze scanned the crowd lightly as he searched for Tony. Wherever John or Tony was, the atmosphere was sure to be lively, so spotting them wasn't too difficult. With just a quick glance, Adam located Tony engaged in lively conversation with a beautiful woman. Adam waved at Tony and was about to walk up to join them without paying any mind to his companion for the night. He left June stranded among people and went to catch up with his friends. June saw Adam leaving her side, so she attempted to grab his attention, but Adam looked at her and said, "Don't follow me everywhere. Go enjoy yourself and stop clinging on to me." June playfully pouted. "I'm your date tonight. Of course I want to be with you. Don't you want to have some fun with me?" Adam snorted and ignored her, proceeding directly to Tony's side. The woman who had been engaging Tony in conversation noticed Adam's arrival and immediately shifted her attention towards him. Women like her couldn't resist the opportunity to engage with him. Adam couldn't help but chuckle at their attempts, leaving June feeling excluded and frustrated. She clenched her teeth, her face flushing with anger as she watched the scene unfold. It was Tony who said flatly, "Adam, why don't you introduce Miss June to the ladies?" Adam, appearing to have just noticed June nearby, looked at her and frowned impatiently. "Didn't I tell you to enjoy yourself? Why are you still here?" June was pissed off at his rudeness, but she had a plan in mind. Pretending to be surprised, she exclaimed, "Isn't that Iris? When did she come back?" Iris was sitting in a corner, and June's words caught Adam's attention. Tony, on the other hand, noticed Roman approaching Iris with a drink in his hand and chuckled. "Roman is quite considerate, don't you think? He is taking so much care of her." As the news about Roman and Iris had been in the newspapers, the ladies around them weren't surprised. Only June remarked, "She's with Roman again? Well, I mean, it does make sense. Who would even want her besides Roman?" Tony didn't appreciate her words and gave her a sarcastic smile. "Iris is still desired, but you, Miss June." June, who viewed him as nothing more than Adam's companion, didn't take what Tony said seriously. With wide almond eyes, she coldly smiled and said, "Tony, you're really something. I made just one comment and you're already defending her. Don't you know she's very irritating?" Tony shrugged casually. "I honestly don't know much about her," June added. "You can ask Adam." "Adam, don't you think so?" Adam smiled lightly and put his arm around June. "Yes, I do. That woman is indeed quite irritating." One of the women standing there couldn't help but state, "I think Adam and Iris must have some history together since he has such strong opinions." Adam quickly waved his hand in denial. "Don't get me wrong, I have nothing against that woman. It's purely a personal opinion." "I agree with Adam," June chimed in, leaning into his embrace. Tony chuckled. Adam could say the sky is green, and you'd believe him. June, who typically was able to maintain her calm in public, felt a bit embarrassed. She shot a cold glance at Tony and said, "Why do you talk to me so rudely? Don't you have any manners?" Tony's lips curled into a small smile, and he took a step closer to June and said, "If you suggest that I have no manners one more time, I don't think I can handle it that well." "What are you trying to say?" June couldn't help taking a step back. She didn't know Tony very well, but she had a feeling that he enjoyed playing tricks a bit too much. Tony grinned and said, "What I am trying to say is that I can handle you on my own." He then turned to Adam. "What is June's family most concerned about? Fear that the Miller family won't do business with them? Scared of losing their fortune? Well then, from now on, Millers won't do business with Jaden's company ever again." Adam played along, looking at June with a helpless expression. "He's the general manager of the Miller Corporation. He can make that call and I can't do anything about it. Was it real or just a joke?" June felt like they were teasing her and forced a smile. "Adam, are you really going to do that?" My brother has been working with the Millers for so long, and you will end the deal just like that. I've said there's no way.
Tony here has the final say in these matters, Adam replied, looking around. Your brother wanted to earn a better deal for his company by coming here, but in the end, well, you messed it up.
Adam, June began, but she didn't know how to continue. Unfortunately, Adam wasn't the type to be swayed by emotions, and Tony, who seemed to enjoy such scenes, had no interest in her. The two exchanged glances, leaving June behind as they walked away together.